sure that it was actually P. Diddy?
Because I was standing by the front door. I watched the entire thing out. I had no reason to believe that it would escalate to a shooting. It was just male machismo and bravado at first. A lot of pushing and shoving, raised voices, hands, but then I saw them reach in their waist and draw from there.
Did ballistic tests and Puff had gunpowder on him. Why didn't the police go through with charging him?
Ruben has not begun to see reparations for what happened to her life. How did NBC get to profit off of it?
Jennifer Lopez is facing serious trouble after surprising details from her past have resurfaced. Reports suggest she was allegedly linked to a major crime involving Diddy, and the two had initially managed to avoid consequences.
Days of deliberations, the jury now appears to be focusing on the gun possession and bribery charges against Sean Puffy Combs. This afternoon, jurors sent the judge 2 notes, one of which asked for a transcript of a phone message Combs left Wardell Fenderson, once his driver, now the prosecution's star witness. During the trial, Fenderson testified that Combs was armed the night of the shooting at Club New York, and later pressured him to claim ownership of a pistol police found when they pulled over Combs' Lincoln Navigator as it fled the shooting.
And I just want to make you feel comfortable, you know what I'm saying? Make your family feel comfortable.
What exactly Combs meant by that is in dispute, but the prosecution claims the rapper offered Fenderson $50,000 or a diamond ring to take the rap for the gun. The jurors also wanted to hear a readback of testimony relating to Combs' former girlfriend, actress-singer Jennifer Lopez, who was in the Navigator when it was stopped by police. An officer testified that everyone in the SUV was ordered to put their hands on the vehicle, but Lopez walked away, saying she was going home. As she was being detained, a gun was discovered in the vehicle. At that point, a sergeant on the scene ordered everyone who was in the vehicle under arrest. The officer quotes Lopez as saying, "It's not my gun."
They are floating issues that are old.
Jaguar Wright told us that J.Lo is going to be investigated with Diddy. Jaguar Wright said that Diddy and J.Lo are both going to be investigated for the 1999 nightclub shooting where the victim said that Diddy pow-powed her in the face.
On the night of December 27, 1999, a young woman named Nada was simply out enjoying a night at a club when her life took a tragic turn. She claims she was shot in the face by none other than music mogul Sean Puffy Combs, now known as Diddy. Nada insists she had no involvement in any conflict. She was merely an innocent bystander. That same night, rising rapper Moses Shine Barrow was also present and ultimately took the blame for the incident, serving nearly 9 years in prison. Diddy, who was his co-defendant, was found not guilty. Nada, just 19 years old at the time, is only now coming forward to publicly share her side of the story.
Having been shot by someone that was allowed to come into the gun when I couldn't bring in a poem, I would absolutely unequivocally like the case reopened. It needs to be reopened. And the saddest part for me is, had people taken what I said more seriously and listened more intently, 24 years worth of people probably would not have had to suffer.
Yeah, and I ask you this respectfully, just because I think people at home might be wondering, and I've never been shot. I can't imagine what that's like. But, in the chaos of that moment, and it's a club and there's people all around, how can you be sure that it was actually P. Diddy?
Because I was standing by the front door. I watched the entire thing out. I had no reason to believe that it would escalate to a shooting. It was just male machismo and bravado at first. A lot of pushing and shoving, raised voices, hands, but then I saw them reach in their waist and draw from their hip. And I instantly turned to my friends and told them, be careful, watch out. And when I turned back, I know, and I've said over and over, I've heard the voice of God said, you are about to be calm down. And as I said no, I looked straight forward ahead and I watched the muzzle flash from both of their guns and I felt the impact to my face instantly.
Wow.
There's no doubt in my mind who shot.
The moment Nada began speaking out, many noticed that Diddy appeared to be paying close attention. This entire situation resurfaced when Jennifer Lopez was named in one of the lawsuits against Diddy. Some are now claiming she may have played a role in covering up the 1999 incident, possibly even helping to dispose of the weapon. The growing theory is that Diddy and J.Lo shifted the blame onto Shine in order to shield themselves from the fallout.
What really happened with J.Lo, Shine, and Diddy, it became an episode for Law & Order SVU. lot of money was made off of that. And guess what happened in the end of that episode? When they finally tracked down the starlet who they were hiding from everyone, so she never had to testify. The male rapper took the charge, so the case was closed, and that's when she finally admitted that it was her that did the powwowing. Ice-T knows a lot of people from that time, and he used to frequent at that club. He would have known all of the real details of everything that happened that night. Natanya Rubin has not begun to see reparations for what happened to her life. How did NBC get to profit off of it?
So after him and Diddy fell out, he started working with Jodeci more. I see. How you feel about the victim of the club shooting? I gotta ask you about this, man. How you feel about her coming out now saying that, you know, Diddy, he shot her and not Shine? How you feel about that?
Well, the way I feel about that, the case is closed, bro. It can't be no double jeopardy. It can't be no retrial because they already had a trial and a man was convicted for her injuries. A man already did time for her injuries. You understand? If they would have to go back and see that if there were ballistic tests done on Jennifer Lopez, on Puffy, God bless the dead, on Wolf, did they do ballistic tests? And then see if they did ballistic tests and Puff had gunpowder on him, you know what I'm saying? Why didn't the police go through with charging him? Why didn't the police charge him? She could say that now. And she said that I don't take nothing from the victim. I don't take nothing from the victim. But her lawyer should have advocated. I know Puff and Shine, they had the same charges. But like I said before, and like Shine said also, Shine said this also because it's true. Puff had witnesses that come in to testify against Shine and say they saw Shine do the shooting. So her making those statements now, and the case is over with. It's been what? Well, how many years it's been? 15, 20 years? 15, 17, 15. Shine went to jail for 10 years. It was in 99, right?
Law enforcement now believes the federal investigation into Diddy could expand to include a closer look at his past, particularly the infamous nightclub shooting. What's caught many off guard is the possibility that Jennifer Lopez may have been more involved than previously thought. Nada, for her part, has never wavered from her version of events. Still, some people are questioning the timing of her revelations, wondering, why is she speaking out now? Is she seeking fame?
Oh, well, why would he shoot you? What did you do? Did you owe him money? And I'm like, class, pay attention. Bullets don't have names and they don't have predetermined destinations. Once they come out of the gun, they're going to go wherever they go. And that's the thing about crime and shooting people. You cannot guarantee that what you're aiming at is what you're going to hit, because you might be a thug, but it doesn't mean you have good aim. You might be a criminal, but it doesn't mean you have good aim. And that is exactly how I sit here today, because some thug criminal with an attitude and a ego that was outside of control decided he was going to fire a gun in a crowded nightclub and shot me in my face. By the grace of God, I am here. The first thing I said when the bullet hit me, and listen, when right before the muzzle flash went off, when I had turned back to look, I heard God's voice say, relax, you are about to get hit, calm down. And when I screamed, no, pop, pop, and it hit me dead in my face. And I never passed out. I never fell. I never cried. Everybody started running. And just like when you watch a TV show or a movie and there's one person standing in a spot and everybody else is moving in fast motion and that one person is just in that spot, whatever they do looks a little slower, but everybody else is moving fast. That's exactly what it was like. Everybody was running, trying to get places. It was chaos. When that door, the first few people ran out of the door flew open. And remember, I was in that line sight, straight from the staircase, straight towards the front door. As soon as the bullet hit me, I threw my hands up and screamed out, "No, God, don't take me. I'm not finished raising my kids. I have work to do." I screamed that at the top of my lungs. I said, "I'm not going. Don't take me. I have work to do. I have to raise my children." And as I said that, the door flew open and I could feel that total rush of that cold December 27th morning air. It was freezing out there. And it passed right before the air. You ever watch Star Trek and they say, "Beam me up, Scotty," and they start to pixelate? My body started doing that. I felt my body pixelating. I didn't even feel like a solid person anymore. And as my body was pixelating, that's when the door flew open and the air rushed in.
Jennifer Lopez has always been seen as the picture of glamour, with nearly every man she's dated offering something to say about her, except Diddy, who still refers to her as one of his great loves, a sentiment she once echoed. But even their high-profile romance, which lit up red carpets from 1999 to 2001, couldn't withstand the fallout from what happened that night at the club. According to reports, the incident began when Diddy allegedly started a confrontation by knocking a drink out of someone's hand, which quickly escalated into gunfire. 3 people were injured, including Nada, who claims she was struck in the face by a bullet fired from Diddy's gun. Diddy and J.Lo fled the scene but were apprehended hours later. Lopez was released soon after, while Diddy remained in custody for a time. The direction of the entire case shifted when J.Lo stated that neither she nor Diddy had a gun.
I was putting my earring in, and my girlfriend Kelly, whose house we were at, had a big Rottweiler named Brick. Brick jumps up, stands fully tall, and puts his feet on my shoulder, and it knocks my earring out of my hand. The earring falls, goes under the fish tank that broke earlier that week. And so there were still little pieces of glass under there. So when I went to get my earring, cut my finger. Just all these little things trying to stop me from going out of the door. I go clean my finger, I get the piece of glass out, I clean it, I wrap it, put on a Band-Aid, put my earring in. As I reach the threshold, they're blowing the horn, telling me to hurry up. I step 1 foot across the threshold and a voice says, "Go change your shoes." Now, I knew it was God. God talks to me all the time. So I was like, if I change my shoes, I have to change all of my accessories. And God just repeated, "Go change your shoes." Now, I'm a stiletto girl. I would stand up in my beauty salon in stilettos for hours and hours on end. This particular day, I had on short ankle boots. I'm not a flats kind of girl. I don't really wear flats. Well, now I do. But back then, I did not. Those boots that I had on were flats. The heel was probably just about this big, and they were ankle boots, some snakeskin ankle boots. And I went back and I changed the boots. The boots I changed into, I had just bought them a month earlier around Thanksgiving from Bloomingdale's. And there's a story behind it. But what I had a girlfriend named Pat, whose sons were like the neighborhood guys that watch your back and all of that, and kind of they're on the block. She asked me for a favor. I did her hair. She came back and paid me at a later date and gave me a gift card to Bloomingdale's. I took that that gift card, went to the store, bought these boots. So this is bigger than just change your boots. It was a act of faith and an act of love for a friend that was repaid to me. I took that act of love that was repaid, went and bought a pair of boots, and those boots saved my life. I put those boots back. I went and put those boots on, which had a heel on them, went down to the car. We went off to the club. They were complaining, "You took so long, you're taking so long, we were going to leave you." We laughed it off. We got to the club. We pull up to the block, and there are 2 ambulances at the front of the block as you turn the corner, halfway in the street and halfway on the sidewalk on each side, narrowing the stream of traffic to 1 lane. And I instantly said, 2 ambulances? Are they expecting somebody to die? What is this? Because I had never, ever seen that at a club or at this club. And it just stood out as so weird to me. My friends were like, I had just gotten saved. So they were like, "Oh, come on, hallelujah. Don't start with all that." Making their jokes. You know how it is. I'm from New York. We got thick skin. I'm not bothered by it, but it stood out to me instantly. It was a very cold day, so when we got to the front of the club, there were lots of people outside.
Now, some are beginning to question whether Jennifer Lopez may have lied back then to protect Diddy. And if that decision was the biggest mistake of her life. Shine, the young rapper who took the fall for the shooting, has since spoken out, saying he was only trying to defend Diddy that night. In return, he claims, Diddy let him take the blame and face the consequences alone.
Puff ruined his life? Yeah, because Puff helped the prosecutors put Shine behind bars by getting the witnesses and giving them to the prosecutors so Shine could have that fall.
I was defending him and he turned around and called witnesses to testify against me, and he pretty much sent me to prison. That is the context by which you must always describe that relationship. Yes, I forgave, I moved on, but let us not pretend as if I was in Miami for Thanksgiving. This is someone who destroyed my life.
Now, Jennifer Lopez could be facing serious trouble if these resurfaced allegations prove to be true. She once firmly claimed that Diddy didn't have a gun, but people are now asking, if that's the case, why has she remained so close to him over the years? Some speculate that Diddy may be holding something over her, possibly a secret that has kept her loyal. During a recent raid on Diddy's home, investigators reportedly recovered videos showing Lopez in compromising situations. There's even talk that Ben Affleck, J.Lo's husband, may have seen those tapes, which some believe led to major strain in their marriage. Reggie Brown also claimed that an adult tape of J.Lo existed and could have been released to the public at the time.
They go raid Puffy's house, and they get all these videos of J.Lo doing this and J.Lo doing
In about 99, 2000, Death Row started to announce that they were going to put out a Jennifer Lopez adult tape. Can you tell me about how you guys obtained it, what it was, and why it never came out?
Yeah. Ooh, that's a story. So there's definitely a tape out there. Definitely. So of course y'all know shit was in jail. And as the groupie would say, Michelet was in charge. Okay. I ain't never claimed to be the president, so that's who should put in some paperwork in a deposition or something that obvious must. That Michelet was in charge. No, not in charge. The president. Okay. Who knows? But you ask anybody from any interviews, anything from 1997 till 2002, even when Suge was home. Who you had to go through to get anything done around Death Row? Anything. I mean, Suge Knight, personally, from his mama, sisters, his women, Sharitha Knight, anything from Suge Knight, David Kenner, any artist, anybody. Who did you go through? Who did you call? Who was the point of contact? Call Reggie. Even if you call the office, you call Roy. Who Roy gonna call? Reggie. Reggie would even decide from Roy if to put Suge on the phone with that person. And Suge would call me before he called that person. What that person want, Reggie? I don't care who it was. Any of those persons not just name.
It's just a theory, but more and more people are starting to believe that Ben Affleck may have distanced himself, or even left Jennifer Lopez, to avoid getting pulled into the growing controversy. Ben is known for keeping his personal life private and steering clear of the spotlight, while J.Lo, in contrast, seems to embrace it. The clash in how they handle fame, combined with the swirling drama around her past, is leading many to believe that it may have been too much for him to stay involved.
J.Lo is just, I don't know. Every man she's been with has said the same thing, except for Diddy. Diddy's the only one that said she was a great girlfriend and how he wish he hadn't messed it up.
Now,
how is that the only man in her life that had regrets about their relationship, but everybody else ran for the hills? Like, it's not nobody noticing that. That everybody else that's left her, oh, she was too this, she was this, she was that. But Diddy said she was perfect.
Maybe she was meant for a medal.
What happens if you're only perfect for the devil?
God damn, God.
What the f does that make you?
Damn.
Look at poor Jen and Ben.
Poor Jen and Ben. And Jen is...
She really thought she was going to make that story work. She was going to get her little white Irish Catholic boy, and she was going to be happily ever after. And on him and all of his white friends, and they were going to make... They was going to be the Rat Pack with a bitch. It was going to be great. Even Gwyneth Paltrow don't like her.
There's a
You know they want her out of the Hamptons. She bringing too much of the block to the porch.
It just is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
It just is what it is.
No, what it is she is the perfect example of what happens when you don't want to be yourself. She can't sing, but they got her a microphone and let her pretend.
So let me
She
ask.
was an okay actress, but you know, she was good at acting. She'd been doing that all her life.
Want to make you feel like comfortable, you know what I'm saying? You make your family feel comfortable.
What exactly Combs meant by that is in dispute, but the prosecution claims the rapper offered Fenderson $50,000 or a diamond ring to take the rap for the gun. The jurors also wanted to hear a readback of testimony relating to Combs' former girlfriend, actress-singer Jennifer Lopez, who was in the Navigator when it was stopped by police. An officer testified that everyone in the SUV was ordered to put their hands on the vehicle, but Lopez walked away, saying she was going home. As she was being detained, a gun was discovered in the vehicle. At that point, a sergeant on the scene ordered everyone who was in the vehicle under arrest. The officer quotes Lopez as saying, "It's not my gun."
Rumors in the media were swirling all over, and a lot of people wanted to hear from J.Lo about what happened that night at the 1999 club shooting, since Diddy's name was being plastered all over for allegedly being one of the people that discharged the firearm. Remember, you had Tanya Rubin sitting there saying, "No, it wasn't just Shine. Diddy is the one that had possession of this firearm and popped it off and it hit me in the face." Then eyewitnesses started coming out and talking about J.Lo and saying that they believe that she had a hand in this case.
Police charged Sean Puffy Combs and Jennifer Lopez with felony gun possession. Shine was accused of attempted murder and assault. Both men were released on bail. Charges against Lopez were dropped.